So what is, I remember this summer, I was way too busy to pay attention to it, but people were talking all about murder hornets. Do you know anything at all about murder hornets, where they came from, what that was all about?
Yeah, so Asian hornets, there again, media got a hold of it and talked about murder hornets because Asian hornets will feed on honeybee colonies. You know, if you're going to feed your babies and you got to catch another bug to feed your babies, a beehive is a wonderful place because it's a concentrated area of probably 30,000 bees that all you have to do is sit by the entrance and grab bees as they fly in, and you tear their heads off and you take the rest of them back to your babies. So these Asian hornets have existed in Japan and Southeast Asia for years, and they can be a problem. They were introduced to Europe. You know, we have global trade, and so, you know, a hornet can build a nest on a container and put on a ship, and it goes to France or England or what have you, and they show up, and then they have caused problems with our bees because our bees are not used to having anything like this. But anyway, they found a couple in British Columbia and Washington State, and there is some concern, and so they're out trying to put out traps so that they could catch any of these queen hornets, so that they can't, raise nests and babies and spread even more.
Should the U.S. public be frightened of murder hornets, or is this already passed? Or
I think we should be frightened of everything, actually. But even if these guys were ignored, it would take years and years and years for them to, spread enough to be of major concern. And there's traps you can put on a beehive that, allow the murder hornets not to have an impact. But yeah, no, we got enough to worry about.
You know, one of the things that I realized by spending a lot of time with you is that honeybee keepers, or beekeepers in general, they have a special place in American society. There's like a special role that they play. People look to them and say, are the bees dying because we're putting up cell phone towers? Are the bees dying because we're using, ag chemicals or bees? And I feel like, I don't know if this was always the case, but right now, if you're a beekeeper, people will hear that and they'll say, tell me about nature. Because it seems like beekeepers are kind of at that edge between nature and domestication. And so beekeepers seem to be in a place where they are responsible for explaining to the broader public what's going on out there.
Yeah, no, they are. And before this whole COVID thing, I traveled a lot and flew a lot. And I, when I was on a plane, and you always got that person who wants to chat, and they say, oh, what do you do? And I got to the point where I wouldn't say I was a beekeeper, because then the next 90 minutes I would be making a fist, and this is Varroa, and this is plant.
He's like a priest that doesn't wear his collar because he doesn't want to hear confession.
Yeah, put clover in your yard and all that kind of stuff. And so beekeepers are unique. We're a unique subset of the population. We love an insect. Everybody else is an entomophobe. That means people who are afraid of insects. Now, you don't want cockroaches in your house, and you probably don't want to mess with an insect that, if you don't treat it right, will hurt you. They will sting you. They will try to protect their home and their babies and what have you. And so we are a unique subset of the industry and of agriculture, as commercial beekeepers get very large. But there's a huge story to tell about honeybees. Honeybees forage looking for flowers in about a 2.5 mile radius of their hive, which means that they impact the environment tremendously. Those plants that flower, that need pollen taken from point A to point B so they can reproduce, so the environment is healthy. It's not just pollinating almonds and strawberries and apples. Certainly those are important for our food, but honeybees have an impact overall. It's kind of like the umbrella for so many different things. And beekeepers are, we all do this. Beekeepers sometimes are very chatty and will talk to their neighbors and their community and everything else. And then other times they're very, very quiet because their neighbors might be entomophobes and might call somebody and say, this guy's got bees in our backyard and I'm highly allergic and I'm going to die, and my dog Fido, and the whole different thing. So there is a balance.
I hope you like this podcast short, and I hope you'll hit that like button. It makes a huge difference for how many people see these videos. Also, if you've been following the podcast, you know that we are creating a way that you can support the podcast. People that have been longtime listeners have been asking me, how can I support it? So I created a network, and rather than just put out a coffee can or my hat hoping that people will donate to it, I decided that what I would do would be create a community where you not only get the value of supporting the podcast, but you get to meet other people that are interested in becoming tangibly better communicators. So I'll be there every once in a while putting up lessons. I'll try out classes that I'm putting on for sale to other people. And also we'll create a network where you can share your own speeches, where you can share content that you really care about and ask for feedback from the network. And this will be a network of people that have been trained and thought through how to give the best feedback possible to help you become a tangibly better communicator. I hope you'll check that out. If you're interested, go to my website, vancecrow.com, and add your name to the email list. We're trying to let people in on stages, and rather than have hundreds of people all in at once, we're going to just do it a little bit at a time. So that way we can create a culture that is building and growing, and one that is sustainable over the long term. So I hope you'll check that out. Go to vancecrow.com and add your email. I'm glad you're here.